You are now tuned into the Saints and Savages podcast. Thanks for joining us. We've got a lot to talk about. Well, as you probably know, the world's on fire. It's only getting worse. There's a lot of stuff that's going on out there, a lot of news. We have a lot of that for you today. We're filming, only a week after the last podcast, but it feels like it's been 3 weeks. There's just so much information going on out there. So we're going to get to that real quick. My name is Brian. I got a couple of questionable, sketchy gentlemen today joining me. Mike, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, guys. For those of you guys who know me, my name is Mike. I'm one of your hosts here. We want to welcome you guys back. And as you guys can see, that if you guys have been following us, we're in a new studio, actually. We're doing this to try to bring you guys better content and be able to get you guys some good news and hopefully not look like complete amateurs, which we are, obviously. But welcome, everybody. And join us as well as always is our other co-host, Blake.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Saints and Savages podcast. I am wearing plaid and squares, so the fashion police will stop in here and arrest me at some point. But we'll get through this show as quickly as possible.
I don't think we did a proper intro for him like I did for you and for Kyle. So why don't we try that again?
Okay.
So with us today is our co-host, the GM's GM. Ladies, if you want a natural 20, you better blow on his dice. Blake.
The sexy dungeon master, Blake.
If you can handle those big dice, you got to fondle them correctly in order to get that 20.
And we're already banned. All right.
All right. Well,
Mike, what do we got?
all right, guys. Well, we got some interesting stories. Obviously, if you guys have been following the news lately, as Brian said, the world is on fire, and obviously the war in Ukraine is still going on, and Russia's still bombing the crap out of them. So there's that. But we're trying to bring it more towards relevant news for you guys here at home. And so with that, let's jump into our first story that we have, actually. It's going to be pretty awesome for most of you guys. All right. So from the AP, the U.S. job openings quitting at near record high in February. Job openings hovered at a near record level in February, a little change from the previous month, continuing a trend that the Federal Reserve officials see as a driver of inflation. There were 11.3 million available jobs last month, matching January's figure and just below December's record of 11.4 million, the Labor Department said Tuesday. The number of Americans quitting their jobs was also historically high at 4.4 million. Up from 4.3 million in January. More than 4.5 million people quit in November, the most on record during dating back 2 decades. Many people are taking advantage of numerous opportunities to switch jobs, often for higher pay. The vast majority of those quitting do so to take another position. So, yeah. I mean, with that being said, what do you guys think? What do you guys think is driving this stuff right now? People just quitting their jobs willy-nilly.
I think, with the pandemic, we had a lot of people getting used to working from home, and that might be maybe people are starting their own businesses, going for jobs that allow them to be with their families. Maybe they're getting a lot of compensations from the government, so they don't feel like they have to work as much. It could be a combination of a lot of these factors. I hope as more people starting businesses, I know that Etsy and other things are taking off, or people are doing more things from home and having a side income. And you talk to these people and like, oh, it's just a side hobby, something I like to do with my free time. But, that's an entrepreneurial spirit. People need to, I feel like, be more proud that they're making their own side income. They don't think themselves entrepreneurs, but that is, you're adding value to the economy. So I think there's a bit of, what's the word called when you can't become the thing that you hate? Dissonance.
Oh, you're on your own.
Yeah, you're on your own. I can't read your mind, bro.
It's like psychological dissonance where you can't be the
Dissociation?
thing. Not disassociation.
Screw you then.
See if I help you next time.
Yeah, you're on your own, man. Dead silence.
It's basically like, if you hate the rich, you're not going to become rich because you don't become the thing you hate. So if you think yourself more of of an entrepreneur and you have that frame of your mind, you'll do more entrepreneurial things. So if you have a side hustle on Etsy or a little thing, good job. You are like your own business person, and you should celebrate that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's an interesting phenomenon. What are they calling it? The Great Resignation.
Great Resignation.
I mean, the amount of people quitting their jobs every day is ridiculous. I mean, I don't think all that can be attributed to just people being able to work from home and, getting a good grasp, and, they're obviously liking that life, right? I'm sure that contributes to a lot of it. Obviously, working from home is great, and I mean, the benefits of that, really, you can't beat them. But I don't think, what was it, 4 point whatever million people quit their jobs just because they got so used to working from home, and their offices are now calling them back in, right? So
yeah, I think there's a lot of factors in this. It's always more complicated, I believe, than people make it out to be. But try to look at it from as logical perspective as possible. Obviously with COVID, people were getting unemployment checks, or they're getting the COVID money or whatever, so they didn't have to work. So you had this massive amount of people that just started taking money because they were making more money doing that than some of them were at a job. And then you also see the migration away from from blue states, right? California, Oregon, New York, New Jersey, Maryland. They're all moving to red states predominantly. And so, Mike, to go along with what you said on there, people are changing their jobs as well. So they'll quit one job.
Yeah, it's not that they're just quitting out of nowhere.
Yeah. But, I think what the administration also likes to do is to conflate numbers, right? So they like to sit there and say, oh, we've created more jobs, than any other president in history. It's like, no, you didn't create jobs. There was how many millions of people that lost their job or had to leave their job because of COVID. All those jobs just came back, right? Mm-hmm. That's like firemen saying, oh, we put out the most amount of fires in our department's history, but you're the one setting the fires. That's like, that doesn't align. So, but I think part of it is the migration. I think another part is, like I said, the COVID. People we're taking money, but that's all ending now. So, I don't have an easy answer to this one. I'd have to look at it a little bit more and just kind of get a little bit more research into it. But it's interesting to see that, especially with inflation going the way it's going. You think people want stability, so.
Yeah, it's interesting to take a note of the job market nowadays, because all these companies, like even with them having like low unemployment capacity at their work, right? They're always looking for people to. I mean, you see open to hire or hiring now signs everywhere you go. Whether it be an Arby's or a law firm or whatever, right? Everybody's trying to find people to work for them. But the thing is, like, their expectations of people coming to work for them are still like pre-pandemic, whatever levels were than they are now, right? And, they're still looking for 10 years of experience, college graduate, blah, 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 all that kind of crap.
What was that story about that guy? He was a coder, and he wrote some obscure code or something like that. Yeah. And then he went to apply for this job, and they actually had his code that he wrote, and they said, you have to have 5 years of experience in this code language. And he wrote them. He's like, how is it that you can have 5 years of code experience when I just wrote this 2 years ago? And then they deleted the whole they deleted the job opening.
I mean, what a joke. That's the thing, man. People, when they write these like job postings, like more than not, I think these companies are just like using templates that they find from other postings that they see, and they just like repost them and kind of change a little bit of things, But they don't really like take a look at what the requirements really are.
You kind of work in this field, so it's like, what is it?
Yeah. So I mean, for those of you who don't know, I own a recruiting company, and we recruit high-end software engineers as my plebeian job before we became famous podcast hosts. So yeah, man, what I see is a lot of the times when we look at job postings that are open right now, it's just copy and paste templates that people find and repost. And I think that what they're just trying to do is just get a lot of volume of applicants to apply. And then from there, they're like, oh, well, the post we put is just a generic thing. We're just trying to cast a wide net. That's what everybody always says when they're looking for candidates, right?
I have another theory too, and I think it kind of goes back to like when there's always that debate about raising minimum wage and higher pay and whatnot. Well, what happens when you have a company when you're mandated that you have to do these things? Well, you start hiring people with more experience, right? Mm-hmm. And you start laying off those with less experience, or you just don't hire them. So it'd be curious to see those people that are quitting their jobs or that are getting fired or whatnot, what their age is. Like, are they like 25 and younger or whatnot, because
or they're like about to retire and they're like, screw it, let's just do it now. Like, yeah.
I mean, I used to hire a lot, in the logistics area, and man, they always tell you it's like, there's certain things you can ask and you can't ask, when it comes to like age or stuff like that, but it's like, I always looked for that person that was like maybe in their mid to late 30s. You could kind of tell whether or not they had kids and a family, because ultimately it's like when I'm bringing them into work, I want them to have skin in the game. There's got to be a reason for them to come in. If you're 18 years old, you have no experience, and you're taking this job because I'm offering $20 an hour, you're going to quit after it a little bit, because you're going to get a little bit of cash that you need. You're going to go buy that POS car that you wanted or whatever it may be, and then you're out. You know what I mean?
Not to say that 18-year-olds that are looking for a job and looking to work are all horrible.
No, they're not. They're not. Yeah. But it depends on what the job is. Again, like for me, for logistics, it's tough work, man.
Yeah.
Long hours. Depending on exactly 16, 20-hour days, you're huffing, man. But you make good money. It's why we pay so much. Yep. But the highest turnover rate we had was for 25 and under. Single, no kids, not married, anything like that. So it's like I was always trying to look for that person that it's like, they got skin in the game. They have a reason to come to work. Like one of the things, working in warehouses, it's like nobody's really going to see you. So I had, people coming in with face tattoos and all this stuff. Yep. And generally like our HR would be like, no, we don't want them. They pass on them. And I'm like, no. I was like, let me interview the guy, or the girl, whatever. Yeah. Bring him in. I interview him. I'm like, I want this person. But they got a face tattoo. I'm like, it's a warehouse job. He knows how to drive a forklift. He's managed people before. He's got, he told me he had kids and this and that. And then his manager actually called me because they had to let him go at the place because they were shutting down. And his manager's like, oh, he's a solid guy. I'm like, absolutely. Why would you turn this over? This is a gold mine right here. I don't care if he's got a face tattoo. He's operating a forklift.
Yeah, we don't work at CNN. It's like, who cares? Yeah. So, nobody cares about that stuff.
But so. I think that it would be interesting to look at statistics later on to figure out what the age group is or what people are losing their jobs.
Yeah, it's interesting how we have this, all these people leaving their jobs, yet the job openings remains the same. It's 11 million before, it's 11 million after. So I think transferring jobs is the main culprit here, because we would expect that number to go up and down if people were just quitting. And
yeah, I mean, what's interesting too about this article is it doesn't list, how many of those people that quit their jobs went to another job, or how many of them, like you were talking about, Brian, were like retired, or some simply are just not even looking for work. I was reading another article I think it was a few months ago actually, about how a lot of these people that are quitting nowadays, like they're just like dropping off the job market. They're not even looking to get another job, whether it be because of government assistance or they're starting to work on their own business idea or whatever, but they're not contributing to the labor market.
Well, remember the tail
end is the economy, right?
The tail end of the boomers right now. They're in their mid 60s. It's retirement.
Yeah, it's retirement
age. You're about to lose a massive amount of people in the work field.
Yeah.
My old man, he's in his late 60s. He works for himself, but he's at the tail end of the boomers, and they're done. It's like they're out of the job market here pretty soon.
And what isn't it true that I think Social Security won't be able to afford to pay out
upside down pyramid, man.
Yeah, they won't be able to pay out all these boomers for their retirement, right?
Yeah.
We've known that for the past 20 years, and we haven't been able to fix that.
Yeah, I haven't heard a single thing about it. I just remember I saw an obscure article about it, and I was like, what do you mean, like, Social Security can't afford to pay these? What are they doing with the money? Like,
you know what I love? There's a video out there, and it's I think it's a brother and two brothers, right? One is the father of the son in the back of the car, and then the other's the uncle. and the son in the back of the car gets his first paycheck, and I think he can't be more than 18 years old.
I saw that.
And he gets, and you just see like the look of the dad and the uncle, and they're laughing, like they're trying to hold it in, and he opens up his paycheck and he pulls it out, and he's expecting to see this big payday,
$800 or something.
Yeah, and it's like barely anything, and he's like, "What's FICA? What's this tax right here?" He's like, "Social Security." He's like, "I'm 18," and they just start laughing, But it's like it's hilarious because it's like, this is what you vote for, right?
Yeah.
You keep voting for this. You keep voting for the same policies that just tank your paycheck over and over and over again. What do you expect, man?
Yeah, I think the kid was he was sitting in the car with his dad and his older brother, and they were just like looking back on him like he's so excited to open that first paycheck, man. It was so sad to see. It like just broke your heart, man, because you just see his face like just start to crumble slowly, and he's like, "What the hell is this,
dude?" I was a busboy at this restaurant called Jumer's in Davenport, Iowa, and my brother Dante and I we worked together. And he played band, so he was out a lot of the time, and he'd come into work every once in a while. But he was just assuming his paycheck was going to be the same. So anyway, I get paid. My paycheck is like $187. Granted, I'm like 17 at the time. It's pretty good money, 1997. So he gets his paycheck, and we're both sitting outside or waiting for mom to pick us up, and he opens up his paycheck, and it was like literally like $1.87. Well, at the time, it cost $2 to cash the check. I was like, "So you're gonna owe him money?" He was like in tears, dude. He was so pissed.
Oh my gosh! Or like,
Can't afford to cash your own check.
Oh man, throw it away, man.
Or when you fill out your W-2 wrong, and then at the end of the year you end up owing money instead.
Too close to home. Too soon.
Too soon.
Oh, good grief. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, yeah, I mean, needless to say, the job market is, I would say, crumbling, man. And that is a direct correlation with the overall economy now.
Well, it's going to get worse.
Yeah, what do you guys think? You guys think even more people are going to start quitting?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen with this, like Great Retirement and all these skill gaps that will be open. I mean, it's not like there's going to be a lack of openings. It's just motivating people to get it. And, there are policies that legislative rights on that can help motivate people to not work or to work.
Oh, man, did you guys see that reel of that? There was this one guy who was like doing research on the job market. And so what he did, he applied to like 100 jobs. And he only got like one interview or like one or two interviews. And he's like, what? Like, the demand was so high, like all these postings like on Indeed had like, urgently hiring and things like that. And he made a resume that like, was like top tier resume, right? Like you would be like, happy to at least interview them. Right. And he got one interview, I think. And he was like, this is crazy, man. I can't, what do you do at that point? If nobody won't even like, take your resume and like try to get you an interview?
OnlyFans. Hey, man.
A D20 OnlyFans.
You got to do it, man. Man, there's some people that are like, they quit their jobs, do OnlyFans, and they like triple their yearly income in like each month. It's like insane, man.
I mean, just logically, right? You look at the gig marketplace, Uber or whatnot, that rose up, and that gave people the flexibility to work when they wanted to work, how they wanted to work, and what happened? Government went after it, whether it was state, or federal, and they just started trying to, get like California. I think they like boot them out of California because you had the whole thing with the cabbies out there, and you got to get the.
No, that's New York.
Was it New York?
That's
okay.
New York. Yeah, the people would pay like $500,000 for a New York taxi medallion, and that was like their retirement, right?
Yeah, exactly. I get that. Yeah, you had to put a lot of money, but the state also created that as well, right? So then Uber comes up with this idea, which I still think to this day is a great idea, right? The ride share. You call up, you get a ride, they take you where you need to go. It's real quick. It's around the world, whatever you need. But what happens? They regulate it out. So then you have people who are in the gig market now all of a sudden, I can't work in certain states, I can't work in certain areas. And you'll see that just getting worse. And what's the other ones where they deliver food?
DoorDash.
Yeah, DoorDash.
Uber Eats.
Yeah, you got the shopping ones, but you're going to start seeing that stuff get regulated.
Or the electric scooters, like here in the Washington D.C. area. There was like, I think it was like a competition for like
Yeah,
between
like-
10.
Yeah.
And then the government was like, no, just these 3. And it's
Yeah.
like, and then they killed pretty much everybody else's business, all the other scooters' business.
Yeah,
It's
like the first
what?
ones that came out, they were like,
Yeah.
no, you can't come in because guess what? They didn't go grease the wheels, baby.
Yep. You gotta pay up.
But I think what you'll start doing is people get creative. They'll start creating. I mean, look at the technology you have at the tip of your fingers, right? You can do almost anything if you want to. I mean, I was getting into photography. If you wanted to go out and do like wedding photography, you could make literally $2,000 a weekend if you put your foot forward. You go out, you take a couple pictures for free, like you go work with another photographer, and you're just like, hey, do you mind if I, kind of watch by your side, take some pictures, this and that, maybe even pay him a little bit, just for you being there, but you learn a little side thing. And photography is not that hard, you pick it up pretty quickly, and then you're just making money on the side, making $2,000 here and there. That's paying the bills, depending on what your living expenses are. But the technology that we have, you can do just about anything. So I think you're going to start seeing people do that more and more as we see the economy start to tank. You're going to start seeing these little niches start popping up of people doing interesting and cool things.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, man. Cool. Well, with that being said, I think we have another interesting article. I think, Brian, you're the one that brought this up, right? This is from what is it, Tablet?
Tablet, yeah.
You wanna jump into this?
Yeah. So if anybody who's ever been on social media for more than 5 minutes clearly knows this is a new phenomenon of fact checkers, right? So it really came to prominence when Trump was running after he won the election, right? So what happened, right? You saw like YouTube and Google, the CEOs talking about how that, they felt responsible that he was able to get elected because of the use of social media, Russian bots, whatever you want to say. Then you started seeing like Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic Party going after Facebook that, you need to start doing something because there's all this misinformation that's going on, right?
Yeah, we've never heard that word until the elections. So.
Well, I mean, apparently there's a new thing out that's, I forget, Homeland Security, where they're talking about mis and disinformation, that you're going to be considered a terrorist, or if that's
I think they already have that on their books.
Yeah.
Domestic terrorist, right, or something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, what you're basically telling me is that people aren't smart enough to go figure things out for themselves. Go do a little bit of homework. Yes, sadly, but you have to allow people that option, right?
Yep.
I mean, I remember it was a big joke one time. It's like when Facebook was pretty much the only place you could go to, and if you didn't put on there that you were in a relationship with someone, it wasn't real, right?
Oh yeah, make it Facebook official.
Yeah, it's like it's not real unless it's on Facebook, right?
Or MySpace.
Yeah, that's how.
Whoa.
Hey, yeah. So
Too old.
anyway, with this article, I'll go into it here a little bit. It says, who are you going to believe? The Democratic Party's new official, unofficial, public-private monopoly, tech platform censorship brigade, or your misinformed, disinformed eyes? In the past 5 years, a cadre of fact checkers has marched through the institution of journalism and installed itself in the U.S. media as a privatized, quasi-governmental regulatory agency. What's wrong with facts, you say? Fueled by a panic over misinformation, the fact-checking industry is shifting the media's primary obligation away from pursuing the truth and towards upholding vague notions of public safety, which it gets to define. In the course of this transformation, journalists are being turned into rent-a-cops whose job is to enforce an official consensus. I can't read today. All right. That is treated as a civic good by those who benefit from and pay for its protection. Because you have these fact checkers that just come out, and I guess they just announce that they're fact checkers. And then Facebook, Instagram, Twitter hire these people who tend to have a one-sided perspective when it comes to things. And then these are the arbiters of truth from now on.
Yeah, I guarantee you these social media companies, they're the ones that set those fact checkers up anyways. Like they fund them to get all set up and ready to go, like incorporated. And they're like, oh yeah, we just hired these fact checkers, they're independent, but they're great.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think what it's turning into now, they're actually getting away from the whole notion of fact checking, and now they're just saying, well, it's like mostly true or mostly false.
Yeah,
so that way they can adjust it to their narrative.
Yeah, they're making them like more opinion based than like actual fact based, right? Because if you say mostly, then it's like, well, everything's mostly true or mostly false. Like you can find fallacies, in the grammar if you wanted to. Right?
Well, there's actually a lawsuit with John Stossel and Facebook, where one of the fact checkers, John Stossel, somebody misquoted John Stossel about saying something, if I remember correctly. And John Stossel he's like, no, I didn't say that. And they're like, well, it's mostly false. He's like, no, this is literally what I said. He shows it to him, and they go, and then he gets on the phone with these fact checkers, and it's a group of like 4 people that work for this one company.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the biggest fact checking organizations on Facebook. And he's all like, he goes, you guys are misquoting me. This is not what I said. And they're like, yeah, we understand what you're saying here, but we're still going to go with what we said. It's mostly false. And he's just like, I'm literally telling you, I'm showing you all the facts right here. So what you're saying is this is your opinion. So anyway, long story short, Stossel suing Facebook, right? Mm-hmm. Because all the social media companies had to do, it was so simple, right? All you had to do is sit there and say, well, we're not a newspaper, right? We're a platform. Mm-hmm. People can post whatever they want to post, so long as it's not, child, as long as it's not things that
show direct violence.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Egregious violence.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. But it's a fair use platform. You come on here, you can have your perspectives, do whatever you want. And if you remember correctly, if you even go back even further, right, we go back to Benghazi, right? Do you remember what Hillary Clinton gotten in an uproar about? It was a YouTube video, right? This guy came out with this YouTube video, and she said the reason why the things that happened in Benghazi, the reason why those people died in Benghazi was because of a YouTube video, when it was completely false, completely 100% false, and everybody knew it. And then she had the gall when they were bringing in the bodies to sit there and tell the families that this was about a YouTube video to their face. And of course they were pissed because they knew that wasn't true. Well, that just continued on, right? And now we're seeing what we're seeing today, where if you say anything remotely about COVID, whatever, right? All of a sudden on the bottom of Instagram, what do you get? You get a little blurb that says, you got to check COVID. I guarantee you, because I said COVID on this YouTube video, you're going to see a little thing at the bottom of it saying, well, click here for more information about COVID now. Mm-hmm. But it's like, if you're the fact checker and you have a lean and you're just basically doing your opinion, well, what is fact? Mm-hmm. What is fact anymore?
Right. Because
my opinion is going to be different than your opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like how you view information, right? I mean, you can always have a slanted bias towards one side or the other, depending on what you're reading or listening to, right? You can misconstrue, the way things are written, just one comment in a different place makes a sentence completely different than what it reads like. Yeah. So,
well, here's the biggest one, right? So I'm going to continue on in this. It's down a little bit. It says, has any story ever been more energetically fact checked than the Hunter Biden laptop? The news just broke before 2020, right? Well, we actually have an article here that I think Blake would like to share.
Yeah, Blake, you want to talk to us about this?
Yeah, the Greenwald Substack article. Mm-hmm. The Russian disinformation, this whole thing that Russia and Trump were blowing this Hunter Biden laptop out of proportion, that it really wasn't that bad. He wasn't really trying to sell secrets. He wasn't colluding with Russia. Well, turns out it's authentic, and the New York Times knew it was authentic.
Shut up.
Well, yeah, I know. Well, who called this?
Well, why don't we give a breakdown from the very beginning of how the story broke until how we got to where we are now.
All right.
For those who might be listening to who don't know or understand the story and live under a rock,
or you're from West Virginia,
Well, we'll go into the opening paragraph. One of the most successful disinformation campaigns, misinformation, in modern American electoral history occurred in the weeks prior to the 2020 election. On October 14th, 2020, less than 3 weeks before Americans were set to vote, the nation's oldest newspaper, the New York Post, began publishing a series of reports about the business dealings of the Democratic forerunner Joe Biden and his son Hunter in countries in which Biden, as vice president, wielded considerable influence, including Ukraine and China, and would again if elected president. So Papa Biden had dealings with Ukraine and China. Kid Biden was using these things to gain extra money and was possibly making extra dealings. And they were reporting on this. Next paragraph. The backlash against this reporting was immediate and intense, leading to suppression of the story by U.S. corporate media outlets and censorship of the story by leading Silicon Valley monopolies. The disinformation campaign against this reporting was led by CIA's all but official spokesperson, Natasha Bertrand. I'm sorry if I abused that. Then a Politico, now with CNN, whose article on October 19th appeared under this headline, Hunter Biden's story is Russian disinfo. Dozens of former intelligence officers say. And now we are finding out, oh, actually, this was all authentic. Other forms of disinformation. Trump was adamant about making China responsible because it leaked out of their labs. Everyone said he's conspiracy theorists, ruining our. This is a little bit off topic from that, from the article, and that there was ruining relationships with China. This is unsubstantiated. Turns out it is a very real possible theory that did leak from.
But let's just be clear here. So far, we don't have any concrete proof or that it did leak from the Wuhan biolab.
Still under research, but
still under research. I don't believe there's even a commission or anything still set up to investigate that.
They wouldn't dare.
But the highest probability is that yes, it did leak somehow, some way. Whether it's intentional or unintentional, we don't know. But we do know that it caused a global pandemic on a scale that we haven't seen, since probably the Spanish flu.
Yeah, well, there's another thing too. Is like if you guys remember, I think it was Trump was on 60 Minutes, and I forget who the name of the person was that was interviewing him, but he was talking to her about the Biden or the Hunter Biden laptop, and she's like, it's not true. It can't be verified. Well, how can you sit there and say it can't be verified when the New York Times just verified it? So Are you going to apologize at any point in time, regardless if you like Trump or not? You basically, he told you that he was telling you the truth, and you were basically just completely poo-pooing it. And are you ever going to come out and say, yeah, you know what, we were wrong on this?
No, they would never admit. It's funny how this New York article admitting that, oh, yeah, this was the Biden laptop was real, and we ignored it on purpose to make sure Trump would lose.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious. If you guys haven't ever seen, I think it's called Burning Points, their YouTube channel with Sagar and Crystal. They're ex mainstream media anchors, news anchors, and they kind of left because of just all the corporate corruption and greed in the mainstream media and started their own channel. And they reported on this just recently, and they're like, first of all, the administration and President Biden and the Biden family, nobody, not once denied it, and what appears in the laptop whatsoever. Nobody denied it, right? They would just skirt around the issue, and they would kind of pass the ball on, but they never once denied that it was real, because they knew that eventually it was going to be proven to be true, right? Mm-hmm. And so if they denied it, and they're like, oh, this is our lies and all that kind of stuff, and then they came out like it just did, the story broke, then they would be in a lot more hot water. So that was the first big big no. And then obviously the part about what is it, the dozens of former Intel officials corroborating this, saying that this looked like Russian disinformation. Apparently they've been reached out to and be like, hey, are you guys gonna apologize, retract anything that you say? And they're like, no, we still believe this is true. It's like, but it's been proven to be right. How do you trust the intelligence agencies when they're blatantly being political about this kind of crap? It's like, this is not to be political about. I mean, this is either true or it's not.
Yeah. Well, Peter Schweizer, he actually has a laptop now. He just wrote this book called Red Handed, where he actually goes into the whole corruption of China into all these politicians, Republican and Democrat alike. He's no friend to either of the parties. He just calls balls and strikes, man.
Yep.
He's a fair guy. So he has this, and he's going through it, and he's got a whole team of investigators just digging through this thing, and he's just like, yeah, he's like, all of this stuff's true. He's like, not only that, he's like, we can confirm everything, we can link everything. He's like, all these emails will link. It's pretty damning. And I all you're gonna see is Saki poo-poo this. They're just gonna punt it. Like she kind of did when they brought it up. I think Peter Doocy brought it up. Yeah. And she's like, well, Hunter doesn't work in the administration. It's like, yeah, but you went after everybody that was even slightly, if they said hi to Trump, you were like, oh, we need to bring them in for questioning when you impeached him for a perfect phone call, right?
I'm like Hunter was getting rides on Air Force 2 to freaking China, in Ukraine to do all these deals and stuff. There's mention of contributions to the big guy, which who do you guys think that is, right?
Well, I mean, the whole impeachment of Trump was about this whole thing with Ukraine that we see that's going on now, right? Well, that was the Democratic Party's play. That was their playground. That was where they were doing all the funny stuff, right? And so Trump was really looking into it and digging into it, and that's when he started finding, that Hunter Biden was working at Burisma, and he's making millions of dollars working for an energy company. He has absolutely no knowledge of how to run an energy company, right? And then he's over in China, and he's one of the first companies allowed to work in China for some company out there, some crazy company out there, making millions of dollars, right?
With a forgivable interest-free loan.
Yeah.
Right? It's like
But
unheard of in the history of banking.
yeah, but we're going to impeach him on this phone call because of what, right?
Because he was
evidence.
asking another foreign leader to look into an investigation of a crime.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's on tape. I mean, the fact that it's on tape and people still believe that it's fake news is ridiculous.
Well, here again, we have an actual laptop with evidence, but yet there was some news article that came out when Trump was in office about how there was something that happened to Trump in an elevator that nobody saw or can confirm. A thing happened, and we're just waiting to find out what it is.
Yeah, there's a videotape of Trump in an elevator doing something, and nobody knows where the tape is.
We don't know what the thing is either.
But this is something that everybody needs to be talking about, and everybody's like, anybody with a sense and a clear head is like, what the heck are you talking about?
Yeah, I remember for like months on end, Rachel Maddow would just be running this. She would just be teasing this. We have information on the Russian scandal with Trump. We have this information. And it was nothing. She had absolutely nothing. And then what happened when who was the one doing the investigation that came out and they turned into this huge nothing burger? He was the FBI.
Was it Peter Schiff?
No, FBI. He was the head of the FBI. I forget. Special Counsel Mueller.
Mueller. Yeah, Mueller.
And he came out and basically was like,
the Mueller report. Yeah.
Oh, was there some things? Sure, there's some little minor things. Was there anything impeachable for Trump? No. Was there anything that had Russian collusion? No. He said that emphatically.
Well, I mean, the most egregious part of it was when he was testifying. He holds up an envelope. He's like, "I have the proof here in this envelope. I can't show it to you, but it's here." Well, and then later on, it's like it's been proven that
was Peter Schiff.
Was that Peter Schiff on something else?
Yeah.
Or was that it?
No, I'm sorry. Peter
Adam
Schiff.
Schiff.
Adam Schiff.
Sorry, Peter. Sorry, Peter Schiff.
Yeah. No, Adam Schiff. That. Remember where they kept calling it the Schiff Show? Because it was like it was crap. And then he would subpoena these people in private, and nobody could listen to any of the talks, or the person that he had that was the special witness. Nobody could find out who it was. You had to have like a top secret clearance to be able to even get any of this information. And it's like, I thought you're supposed to be this clear and transparent,
administration.
Investigation, into what Trump's doing. Didn't you want people to know this information? Like, if that's important, maybe this information should be out there, not just in your little envelope, with a stack of papers that you pulled from the printer.
See, that's a difference, like between a free market of information where people can discuss things freely and this fact-checking organization that is really not trying to sway facts one way, is just trying to lead you towards a different misinformation. Oh, the laptop's real. We fact check it and we realize that, don't pay attention to the laptop. Turns out that this was disinformation trying to lean people towards one direction.
I mean, and you kind of knew that was it, though.
We all knew it.
It's all politics, man. Anything that comes from the media is just political, trying to sway the independents, trying to sway, their base to keep voting for their side. Like, it's just what it is.
And there's truth to it, because at the time, Giuliani had the laptop. What happened? FBI raided his house. Well, why would they go raid Giuliani's house, right? Mm-hmm. Well, there's something clearly that they're worried about and they're concerned about. Well, the big one was the laptop, which apparently he had turned over, willingly beforehand, almost a year before they even did that, right? And then we see similar things, where you have the misinformation, disinformation with Project Veritas, right?
I was just going to bring that up.
Apparently he had a journal from Joe Biden's daughter, which nobody even knew Joe Biden had a daughter, but but to his credit, what's his name from Project Veritas?
Oh God. Now that you ask it, I can't remember.
But anyway, he basically was like, "Look, we can't confirm this stuff. We found this. Somebody led us to it. It looks pretty good, but we can't confirm it." And he passed on
James O'Keefe.
He passed on the journal to the FBI.
Yeah, on that juicy journal that just happened to like drop in his lap.
Yeah,
right?
Same thing. He turned it over a year to the FBI, and then what happens? They raid his house, right? And it's like,
no, I think he just turned it into the local police department, not even the FBI. Okay. But he's like, "Hey, look, I got this. I can't corroborate it. I don't know what's going on with this here. You guys have it. And they sat on that for over a year.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, but do you guys think that the journal was a plant? Even with everything that's coming out right now with the DOJ spying on Project Veritas?
I don't think so. I think, like, again, to get back to the perspective of this laptop getting poo-pooed from the very beginning, right? Because it was obviously about making sure they got their man into the White House, right? Mm-hmm. Don't confound it. That's exactly what it was done for, okay?
Yeah.
And, okay, accept that. All right, cool, But the thing is that if you're going to poo-poo that, then why don't you poo-poo, do it to the other side. Why don't you poo-poo anything that came up on Trump, right? Anything. You can't.
Yeah.
And they're still doing it. Like if you ever go on MSNBC, you go on Slate, go on HuffPo, every single day there's something on Trump. Like they are still obsessed with this guy. He's not the president anymore. They're still doing the January 6th committee crap that's going on now. It's just like, it's just a farce, man. It's just a huge show.
I love on January 6th how they keep calling insurgency. Insurgency is a definable, being an insurgent is a definable crime. There are certain things you have to be considered insurgent. None of those people are charged as insurgents. They're charged with federal trespassing. You can't call it insurgency when none of them are insurgents.
Yeah, well, you remember when Trump got into and everybody was pushing for him to go after Clinton because of her 30,000 deleted emails, and he should have, but he didn't, right? Because he looked at it from the perspective of, and this is from people from in his inner circle that were saying it's like, no, because that's going to look like we're attacking our political rival, and you can't do that in this country, right? I get it, I understand it, but when the shoe's on the other foot, they don't hesitate to go after their opponents.
Yeah, that's something that I was listening to on Tim Pool's episode last night. He said that he was talking with his guest. He's like, the problem with Republicans is that when Democrats they don't care, or I guess the left, right, the radical left, they don't care. They'll do whatever it takes, smear you, do underhanded things, illegal things to win. But the Republicans, the right, will just be like, well, we're not going to stoop to their level, right? I mean, but that's a losing battle.
You'll find no greater champion in the Democratic Party than the Republican Party.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's true.
I think the animals they chose are adequate. One's an ass, the other one's scared of a mouse.
That is a very good comparison. Thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the story with Project Veritas. If you guys haven't been following that, here we have something from the Post Millennial. It's Project Veritas reveals Biden's DOJ spied on journalists with search warrants. Ooh. Have you guys been following that?
No.
Yeah, so here, let me read a little bit. It says, on Tuesday, a new video from Project Veritas revealed legal documents obtained from the Microsoft Corporation showing that the Department of Justice had been spying on Project Veritas journalists leading up to the November raids of the journal's home. For those of you guys tuning in, I think the FBI did a spontaneous raids on a couple of Project Veritas journalists and their homes, including James O'Keefe. And
just happened to turn over information to the New York Times too.
Yeah, I mean, within like an hour, like everything was leaked. So I mean, like I said, the FBI is like a freaking sieve, man. So let me just keep reading here. Project Veritas has just obtained documents showing the SDNY, Southern District of New York, was spying on Project Veritas journalists well before the FBI raid the FBI raided the homes of our journalists last November, secretly reading our emails, concealing that from a court in case against the SDNY. Project Veritas founder James O'Keefe said in a video released on Tuesday. In November of 2021, the FBI raided the homes of Project Veritas journalists, including James O'Keefe himself, seized 47 electronic devices in connection to Ashley Biden's diary, which is one of the reasons why, I'm bringing this up a little bit because I think it's interconnected, which they said, which they said they did not publish and instead turned over to authorities, which is what we told you guys a little bit earlier. Within 5 days, U.S. District Court Judge Annalisa Torres ordered the Southern District of New York to pause its review of my devices, said O'Keefe, who added that within a month, she ordered the SDNY to turn over and see the seized materials to a special master who had supervised SDNY's review to protect our First Amendment and journalistic privileges. I mean, even the, what is it called, the ACLU? Yeah, even they came out and they're like, this is dangerous, right? Like, like when the government is the FBI is being used as a political weapon to go against journalists, and, this violates all the journalistic ethics that have stood in the country since its founding, right?
Yeah, like you always hear all the time. It's on like more liberal leaning media sources. They always sit there and say a source with inside
close to the president or something like that.
But they don't get rated by the FBI to figure out who the source is. But if you get a right leaning journalist, and I'm not saying James O'Keefe is right leaning. He's never come out and said he supports either side. I still think it's up in the air whether he's even a conservative or not, which doesn't matter, right? Mm-hmm. Like I said, Peter Schweizer. Peter Schweizer. Peter Schweizer is not, I think he's like apolitical.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% certain on this, but he goes after Republicans and Democrats alike. It doesn't matter. He just goes after corruption, which you should do, right? But it's journalism. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to investigate because you're supposed to be the stalwart against politics, right? That's the reason why the founders have the First Amendment the way it is, right? The First Amendment, the freedom of speech. Well, journalists, your job is to protect that. Your job is also to have the freedom of speech to say the things that you want to say, but it's also to investigate politics when they're being corrupt. But when you start getting in bed with them and you start joining them and then you start fighting those who are doing the work that you used to do, man, you've bastardized journalism.
Yeah, I mean, what do you have left at that point, right? I mean, all bets are off at that point.
Well, look at the trust and, I think it's the American trust and Congress, the president, and journalism, it's at epic lows.
Yeah, I think Congress approval was at less than 25%.
It's
yeah, like
absolutely
23% or something like that.
Yeah,
It's freaking crazy. I mean, I think Biden's approval rating just dropped under 40 for the first time. It's like 37% or something like that.
I thought it's been at like 35, 37 for the past.
No, I think those are the I think those are a little bit biased, but I think the closer one is like 40, 38, maybe 39.
I think he's only a year in.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. The fact that his ratings are so in the gutter, and that
only been a year. God, it feels like it's been 3, dude.
We have 3 more years of this crap.
Yeah, man.
I
we're in for a rough ride this next 5 years.
I remember like 2 or 3 months ago, I was talking with a friend about COVID vaccines. I said, yeah, more people have died under Biden with COVID than with Trump, and he even has a vaccine. And he's like, well, to be fair, the COVID's been around with Trump longer, or with Biden longer than Trump. And I said, no, it's only been 8 months. And he's like, oh my gosh, we have 3 more years of this shit.
And to be fair, I mean, the vaccines were developed under warp speed under Trump. Yeah. So
to get back to the Project Veritas though, dude, it's like, oh man,
it's a scary story, man.
If you ever watch him, look. Even if you are more left-leaning, I would highly recommend that you just have a little bit of patience, watch some of his videos, give it a shot, listen to him, see just what he has to say, okay? Mm-hmm. But there's going to be one thing that you're going to notice in some of his, especially like Instagram, he has this wall. It's called the retracto wall.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And it's like article after article after article of lies about him that these newspaper companies and media companies have had to retract, right? Because they just go after him. But the thing is, they can't get anything on him because he's just doing his job.
Well, he said he's like, the reason they can't find anything on me or get anything on me is because I stick to my journalistic ethics, right? It's like it's true. If you stick to being a real journalist, you're unbiased. You go after, because he's gone after Fox, he's gone after all the mainstream media people. I mean, he's not just going after the left. It's just the fact that the radical left is,
he's just relentless.
They're the ones with the stuff to hide, right? So. He said that the reason they can't find anything is because he doesn't violate his ethics on that stuff.
Yeah, and the thing is, he gets these videos and then releases them unedited, right? Unedited.
But according to people, he publishes selectively edited misinformation videos.
Yeah, an hour and 37 minutes. Video uncensored.
I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. My favorite.
Oh no, you took it out of context. An hour and 37-minute video is out of context.
One of my favorite ones was when he just jumped on the conference call with CNN.
Oh yeah, that was great, man.
He's like, hey, by the way, I've been listening and recording all your calls for the last 3 months. I was like, what?
And how many people on that call are fired or in prison now?
Oh man, talk about the death of CNN, man. Everybody just jumped ship.
They've had at least 2 producers that are going to jail for child porn and child molestation. I probably shouldn't say that because I'm gonna get kicked off of YouTube for talking about child porn. And then you have the head of CNN get fired, him and his girlfriend, right? Because
No. Jeff Zucker, he left on his own because to him, yeah, because to him, he said he felt bad that he hadn't disclosed his private relationship with this lady who
he's brought her up through the entire company. Like Megan, I think
she's risen faster than a teenage penis.
She's risen faster than him when she's with him.
Exactly. After he takes a little blue pill.
a lot of damage.
We bring receipts.
Yeah, but it's like, and CNN is supposed to be the most trusted news, right?
Yeah.
And then you remember the Cuomos? Remember that whole fiasco between the Cuomo brothers?
Oh, the Cuomo brothers, yes.
Yeah, it's like here it is. Andrew, which one was the governor?
Andrew Cuomo. Andrew.
Yeah, he's sitting there talking with his brother on CNN about how he saved New York City and he's done all these great things and how many people died in the hospitals that you did.
My favorite thing is like now that when you can go back and like again get receipts of these like celebrities that are like, oh, I'm homosexual. Like,
well, but here's the thing though, right? What's the name of the other brother?
Andrew and
James.
No, from CNN. This is how bad they are. I can't even remember his first name. But he got fired, right?
Yeah.
Or they released him, I guess, and then they fired him.
Chris
later.
Cuomo. Chris Cuomo.
Yeah. And then what is he doing now?
Oh, he's suing CNN for like 150
Dude, he's
million.
burning that place down.
Yeah. He's like, if you guys fire me, I will take you down with me, man.
I got the dirt on everything.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like that's how you are the most trusted name in news network. And then you have don't forget Mr. Tubin. Right.
Tubin.
They're in the
Lubin Tubin.
Yeah. During the whole debacle of COVID, there he is. What should I say? Pleasuring himself in front of everybody at his company C. And
no, we got to come up with a good saying here. He is
spanking the monkey.
He's squeezing that toothpaste for all it's worth.
Yeah, but now they bring him on and they got him, talking to whoever, about whatever. It's like this guy should not be there anymore, right?
Yeah, I mean, then they just waited like a month and then they like brought him back, and it's like as if nothing happened.
Yeah,
like how can you be a coworker in there and just be like, I can't ever shake your hand ever again? Like,
I think the standard there, it's like, oh, he just did that in public. I look at Kitty pictures, so his is not as bad as mine. Like when you're down in the swamp and you see someone in a dirty area, it doesn't look that bad. I think the relative view of morality there is quite low, so they let a lot of things fly.
Yeah, but when you had the head of Fox, Rupert Murdoch, who got ousted because of his questionable relationship with women, which Megyn Kelly confirmed, and I trust Megyn Kelly. She confirmed this stuff, and wall-to-wall media coverage of Murdoch being ousted, right? And then they went after Bill O'Reilly, and it was like we're gonna burn down Fox News, but yet nobody. What MSNBC, ABC, CBS, CNN did you hear about these two producers with child porn at CNN? These are high-level producers. One was he was the producer for Chris Cuomo's show.
Yep.
And you didn't hear anything about this guy. One of them actually, like it was so bad, like. The mom of the kid was involved with this. She was helping this,
the grooming, man.
Gosh.
That's just the saddest part, dude. I mean, these
unless you come in and you just lay waste to everybody, and you're just like, we're going to start all over. You know what? We screwed up. I'll have trust in you, man. You know what? Everybody's gone. We're out. We're going to start anew. We're going to bring in new stuff. We're going to do actual journalistic standards. We're going to do some investigation. But the thing is, that won't make any money.
That's why everybody's like jumping ship, man, and also because their ratings were in the gutter until the Russian invasion. Did you see their numbers just like finally went up again?
Oh yeah, of course.
And they're like,
it bleeds, it leads, right?
Yes,
if it bleeds, it leads.
Yep.
Now they have world news that they can get everyone chiming in to listen to about.
Yeah, they have no credibility whatsoever in the media industry anymore. But CNN,
to me, it's just like, what James O'Keefe is doing, I wish more journalists would do. It's like, yes, you're supposed to go in, you're supposed to do undercover stuff. You're supposed to get people on camera, because if you're not doing the wrong thing, then if they get you on camera or whatever, and you're doing the right thing, nothing's going to happen. You'll be okay, But, if you're out there lying, if you're out there pushing these false narratives and you get caught, don't get mad because you got caught.
Yeah, it's like those. One of his latest videos where they caught, I think, one of the CNN reporters, or anchors or whatever. He was saying that like that the January 6th riots were fake, right? He was,
oh yeah, no. He said your outrage about it is fake. You know, like,
he's like, we were there, we were having fun, like it was all right.
He's like, you weren't in danger.
Yeah. Not like AOC. AOC was in peril.
In a completely different building.
An hour before anything ever started, but you know, she's everybody's always sexually frustrated.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I like the idea of the smaller, more independent, unregulated journalists having more success. James O'Keefe, Joe Rogan, Russell Brand, several other people, Tim Pool,
Babylon B.
Oh gosh, those guys are like accidentally right about everything.
Did you see they got booted from like Twitter or something like that?
Well, so they're still booted from Twitter. So what they did is they posted I probably can't say
about the swimmer.
Yeah, about the swimmer.
Identifies as a.
They identified her quote as
Him
her true self.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
In a tweet. The thing is, Twitter did not take down the tweet. It's still up there. You can share it, you can post it, whatever. But
Babylon B refuses to take it down.
But they're blocked from their account. They're like, unless you can get back on your account and post again, but you have to take down that tweet yourself. It's like, what? No, we're not like 4 years old where we have to go, clean up the mess that we did when we were kids, and then like you'll let us play with new toys or something. Look, we did nothing wrong.
Here's the question too, right? When we were talking about the censorship and the fact checkers, for all of the things that have been proven true now, whether it's COVID, whether it's the Hunter Biden laptop, whatever it is, are we going to get an apology for these people? Are they going to get their accounts back? No?
Like Donald Trump?
No?
Trump's going to get his account back?
Yeah.
You think they're ever going to let him on the platform?
By the way, hasn't had his account.
Who?
Vladimir Putin hasn't had his account canceled, has he?
Yeah, he's still on there. So some other.
Oh, there's the Taliban or something like that.
Ayatollah Khomeini's still on there.
Terrorist organizations still have their Twitter up and running, like no problem, man.
I don't think there is a greater badge of your authenticity than being banned from Twitter. I think once you're banned from Twitter, you've made it. It's like, hey, I'm actually a legit news now.
I mean, I've never been a Twitter
I would need
person.
to be on Twitter to get banned first.
Yeah, none of us are on it.
No interest in it whatsoever.
I care less about what other people think about it. But that's all it is, man. All it is a crap flinging contest on Twitter. Yeah. That's all it is. Like if you want to go into the middle of a crap flinging monkey circus, it's Twitter, baby. Mm-hmm. You don't have to go to the zoo. You don't have to get involved with actual real monkeys flinging crap. Just get on Twitter.
Bunch of trolls.
Just get on Twitter.
Trolls, man.
Yeah.
No desire to be on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think social media in general is just kind of like just leading society down a bad path, man.
Oh, it's disgusting. I think social media it's going to be the downfall of a lot of things. It's just getting worse. We're seeing like the rise of anxiety and suicides now. It's like it's. I don't want to say it's an epidemic, but it's getting bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, there's people that's like, oh, I have anxiety now. I'm like, of what? for what? You're 18. Why do you have anxiety? Yes, there's people who just have natural anxiety because of chemical imbalances. I get it. That's fine. But it's kind of off topic, but like the peanut allergies, right? Mm-hmm. Where the hell did all these peanut allergies come from? When I was a kid, nobody was allergic to peanuts.
Or like gluten or lactose intolerance. It's like, what? I think they just like popped up into like the last 20 years, like all those allergies. Or maybe we just didn't really know about them too much, but it seems like they just came out of nowhere, right?
But social media, I think what it is, it's just it's
programming.
Yeah. Okay. What was that show? It's on Netflix. It's either on Netflix or Prime Video. And there's this guy on. There's several people on there that worked for different social media groups: Pinterest, Tumblr, the Twitter, Facebook. They're all on there. These are all people who worked in the background, and they said, "Yeah, it's all programmed. Like we can make you literally do almost anything. We can make you click on stuff, and it just goes through the whole." And I forget what the name of the documentary is. It's really good. You should watch it.
Ooh, that does sound good.
Dang, I don't know if you can look it up real quick, but. It's about an hour and a half long, and they just go through like everything. They go through how they're able to get you to click on certain things on Twitter, how they're able to get you to click on things on Facebook, and they just talk about how it's all programmable.
Is that the one where they talk about manipulating search results to sway how people view things?
Kind of. They get into that. This is more so social manipulation, right?
Yeah.
Or I don't know a better word for it.
The social dilemma.
Yes, the
Social Dilemma.
Social Dilemma, not Netflix documentary.
Anybody that's watching this, go watch the Social Dilemma. It's worth it. It's not partisan. I mean, it's partisan. It's not Democrat. It's not Republican. It just shows you how bad social media is. And this is the reason why, if you have kids that are probably under 10, you should not be letting them on social media at all.
Yeah. So let's read a little bit from this article. It's from the what is it? The Daily Gargum, whatever.
Sure.
We made sure it's authentic. We just pulled this out.
We just pulled it up. It's cool. It says you're probably reading this on your phone, but let's talk about social media. Anybody who uses social media knows that despite all its affordances, it poses threats to our mental health and society as it grows increasingly ubiquitous. The Netflix documentary, The Social Dilemma, directed by Jeff Orlowski. Hope I'm not butchering that. Sorry about that. Explores just how dangerous it is by exposing the psychological manipulation social media platforms perform on their users. Documentary includes interviews with former executives at big tech, at companies Google, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. They claim that these companies are primarily profit-based and exploit their users to drive more likes, clicks, comments, and shares, obviously. Documentary depicts this astutely by creating a fictional character that is trapped inside the social media algorithm managed by three devoted engineers aiming to keep him scrolling on his phone. If you guys want to keep reading, it just goes into more detail about how, what the premise of the documentary is and stuff. But I mean, yeah, what do you guys think? I mean, I think we see it more and more. I mean, I think they've dialed in their algorithms to be pretty damn perfect. They can predict when you're going to take a dump. So.
Yeah, I remember seeing that Social Dilemma. One of the things that stuck out, they talk about a lot of things, but one of the things that I learned most about and was most revealing to me, search engine manipulation effect, SEME, is a research phenomenon. Wikipedia has linked to articles. There's one from the Journal of Information Policy that talks about how when you type things and you have the auto suggestion that comes up, this can sway your opinion on how to phrase your question and what you should be looking for, to the point that this behavioral effect can change your voting preferences.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah, they actually had there's this guy, he was on Glenn Beck, and he's not a Republican, he's actually a Democrat. And he looks at search engine algorithms during elections, right?
Oh, on Joe Rogan, right? He was on Joe Rogan?
No, he was on Glenn Beck. He may have been on Joe Rogan.
I think he was on Joe Rogan.
No, but he was on. I was listening to Glenn Beck. He was on Glenn Beck. He may have been on another show too, but I didn't see if he was on Joe Rogan. But it was like, this is during the election, this last election cycle, and he's literally doing comparisons. He's watching the algorithms, and so he's got Bing, he's got Brave, he's got DuckDuckGo, he's got Google, he's got all the search engines up, right? Well, anything you look for, like Google would direct everybody every single time towards the left, over and over, and their algorithm would direct you toward the left. It would either direct you to the left, or it would demonize Trump or anybody on the right.
Always?
Always.
Wow. 100% of the times?
Probably like 98% of the time.
Wow.
It's pretty bad. I mean, even if you're saying 75% of the time, that's bad. Why are you? Does anybody remember what Google's old thing was, like
on their policy? Do no evil.
Do no evil.
Yeah, do no, and they got rid of that a couple years ago. Yeah.
To me, they're one of the most corrupt organizations out there, right? Because it's like you basically control the internet. Google and YouTube basically control the internet, right? And then when you're sitting there and you're funneling people towards where you want them to go, that's evil, man. It's pure evil.
YouTube is now owned by Google, has been for the past 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Google owns
exactly.
Yeah, Alphabet.
But that's why I'm saying Google and YouTube, because it's like, those are the two biggest used, I think, websites other than
for information.
Pornhub, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. Pornhub's right, or OnNlyFans.
That's where I get my politics from.
But I bet you Pornhub's going to give you exactly what you're looking for. You need to use that search algorithm there. But yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, you could go on there from time to time, and I forget what people were looking up, but they would type in, like, during the election with because he did it before with Trump and Hillary, and you would type in, Hillary is, and it would say all these good things about Hillary, because how it fills in for you, and all these good things about Hillary, and Trump is, and it'd be like a thief, a liar, all these negatives, and you could put them side by side, and different radio personalities would pull it up and they'd show you, and then they'd pull up Bing, and Bing was actually pretty good. Bing was, pretty fair when it came to it, but they were still left-leaning bias. Not too bad though. I would still use them, over Google. And then you looked at, DuckDuckGo's garbage now. If you have DuckDuckGo, get rid of DuckDuckGo.
Immediately.
Go to Brave.
Immediately. Okay. Yeah, we here use Brave, the Brave browser. I think it's
DuckDuckGo said that they would not collect information, that they would keep all searching private, and now they're not going to do that anymore. So
and censor. And censor. They said that they would not censor, and the CEO just came out and said that they will.
So dump your DuckDuckGo, get Brave, get off of Google. Bing, kind of, they're not.
I mean, if you're in a pinch.
Excuse me while I uninstall an app real quick.
Camera right on them.
DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, dump it quick.
We get watch us get swatted right now.
That was my primary use until just now.
They don't have any patches or anything.
So, but it's just going to keep getting worse. This next election, man, it's going to be a crap show.
Yeah, what do you guys? Why don't we talk about that a little bit? What do you guys think is going to be befalling us this November?
Run? Do you think Trump's going to run, or do you think it is going to be DeSantis?
I think Trump has too much invested in it not to run this election. I think he will be doing it unless something like crazy happens and like another front runner just like really takes the stage. But I think the narrative is still on Trump. Yeah. I think the Trump supporters and people would still like to see him have another tenure at the office.
Before we even get into this, the first time Trump ran, did you vote for him?
No.
Did I vote for him? No.
Yes.
Okay, so two out of one did not vote for him, right? Mm-hmm. But is Trump okay, in your personal opinion?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think policy-wise, as a president, he did a pretty good job. The mean tweets, I don't care about mean tweets.
I could care less.
Yeah. And in fact,
I really only saw his mean tweets when like the news would like say something about it, but I'd be like, dude, that's freaking hilarious.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Carnegie said a long time ago, he's all like, I stopped listening to what men say and I watch what they do. Yep. Right. So I stopped listening to what Trump said on tweets. I could care less because I know Ben Shapiro hated it. Ben Shapiro was railing. He was probably one of the biggest critics of Donald Trump for the longest time.
But the only reason he hated it was because he knew what detrimental effect it was going to have on his presidency, right?
Sure. But the thing is like Trump didn't care about that, right? Trump knew that he could control, just like, we just talked about what social media did. Trump knew he could control the news. All he had to do is tweet something stupid. Mm-hmm. True and not shaman of pressure. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, who was that? That's Biden. Sorry.
that was Papa Joe. Sleepy Joe.
Hairy legs.
Yeah, I mean, as far as policies go, man. At first, when Trump was first elected, I was like, oh man, this sucks. Man. We're all effing screwed, man.
Yep.
But as time went on, man, like. Country kept going, the world kept revolving, and I was like, you know what? We weren't in any new wars. That was the main thing, right? And the economy freaking was booming, did great. And then, the election started happening again. It's like, and I saw who he was running against, and I was like, oh man, like if he doesn't win, we're really screwed now.
I mean, he picked up, you look at the minority vote, black, Hispanic.
It all shifted, man.
All blue collar workers that were formerly union all shifted red.
And I mean, you can speculate as much as you want, but if COVID hadn't hit and the economy was still booming, do you guys think he probably you think won. Biden would have won, or you think Trump would have stayed in office?
Nah, I think Trump would have got it.
I think he would have got it.
There's other things in factor there,
Right.
I'm not going to sit there and dance around stuff when it comes to the election. I think there's shenanigans at play. I don't care what you think of me, and I don't care about any of that stuff. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that being said, when we talk about if he's going to run again. I wouldn't mind if he ran again. I think he would do a good job. My only concern is that you're only going to get 4 years if he wins, right?
Right.
What are you going to do after that? He's not. I doubt he'd pull DeSantis out of Florida as his VP. He could, No, I
think they're both A type guys. I don't think DeSantis could serve under him as a VP.
But I'm just saying,
even with the promise of him becoming president afterwards, right?
But that's what I'm saying. I was like, if the possibility for him to do that, like you had Reagan and Bush, right? Reagan ran for 8, and then Bush picked up 4 years. So there's that possibility.
There is, but I think DeSantis. I think DeSantis personally really loves his state and his people.
Yeah,
and I think he would rather stay as governor and keep helping them that way. And have Trump in office, and because I don't think they actually get along, but I think he understands that it would be a good alliance in that regard.
And I can't see anybody else running against either one of those. Like if both of them ran, right, ran against each other, it would be hard for me to determine who to pull for.
At an RNC.
I would have to pray on that one.
Yeah, because think about this, right? Imagine Trump wins the election, becomes president, right? He gets somebody his VP. He definitely isn't going to go back with what's his name? I don't even remember his name. Pence, man. Whatever. Whatever.
Yeah.
Imagine Trump being president, somebody else would be the VP, and then DeSantis could be, man. Imagine DeSantis stays as governor of Florida, keeps doing a great job. People love it. People start flocking to Florida still. Economy is booming. Starts hopefully picking up again. I mean, even though I think there was a recession coming, and then when Trump is done, and things are still okay, then DeSantis makes a run for it. Because I don't think the Democrats are going to get any presidencies, within the next two elections.
Well, I hope so.
Do you think, other than the presidency, what do you think about this red wave that everybody says it's coming? Do you think it's going to happen?
I think it is, personally. I think the Republicans will definitely be taking back the Senate easily. Congress, I think they'll take over as well. And then obviously the presidency, I definitely think that they will as well.
And then they will continue to not do anything.
And they will continue to not do anything. Absolutely.
Senate's sitting at 50-50 right now, right?
Yeah. Senate 50-50 and the tiebreaker being Kamala. Woo! Yeah. So
then that's the next question. Do you think they're gonna drag out, old Joe for another 4 years?
Yeah.
Can I just say something about the State of the Union address? I loved how one guy said, "Hey, people are worried about your mental capacity right now. What do you respond to that?" And he got really angry and said, "No, that's frivolous." And then like 2 questions later, he stuttered for an honest 30 to a full minute, not able to answer a question.
How dare you, sir, talk about his stuttering? Joe stuttered this whole life growing up. How dare you?
Really? Did you know it was never mentioned as part of his profile or background until the election?
what?
No.
You lie.
Yes. Never has he had a stutter in his entire life until conveniently he's too old to formulate a sentence.
I can't see you and I talked about earlier, before you walked in, we were talking about, Joe Biden's gaffes. It's just gaffe after gaffe after gaffe. And I'm like, have you ever seen the meme of the guy with the cigarette, and he's just like, oh God, it's like, I imagine that's exactly.
Isn't that Ben Affleck?
That's it's some black guy. I don't know who it is, but it's like, I guarantee you that's like his entire administration. Every time he talks, they're like, Joe, just read what we wrote. Joe, that's not what we wrote. Oh God.
Well, no, what I love is when he's like, I'm not supposed to take questions, but yeah, go for it. then the media's like, yes. Peter Ducey's like, absolutely, let's freaking do this.
And the thing is like, they like Kamala even less.
No, dude.
Not even her own party likes her.
I mean,
she didn't
politically, personally.
I don't even think she got one vote from the Democratic caucus, like whatever it was, how they do it. She didn't get one vote.
You know who else is ever kind of annoyed by her own party? AOC is not even really liked by her own party.
Yeah, man, but she's racking up power, though.
She's too young to run for president, though.
Yeah, she's loved by she's a celebrity more than a politician.
Yeah,
they won't let her sit on any committees because she's not realistic.
I mean, honestly, I think she's waiting for the Republicans to take over, and then she's gonna be like the opposition towards all of them with the squad, and that's how she's gonna build power. Because Pelosi, she only has one more term left, man. If she gets reelected, and after that, dude, Pelosi's gone, man. She's about to croak.
So honest question. All right, answer honestly. You have 2 picks for presidency, right? One is Tulsi Gabbard. The other one is Mitt Romney. Who do you vote for?
Tulsi Gabbard.
No,
I don't even call him Mitt Romney, dude. I call him Mittens.
Can I just say something? We all have our own biases. I'll tell you right now.
All you have to say was like Mitt Romney, or I would be like, or.
Yeah, I have voted Republican my entire life for presidential, and even at local elections, probably 90 to 95% of I voted Republican, and I would vote for Tulsi Gabbard over Mitt Romney.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, but that's the thing, right? We're not about the gangs, right? Mm-hmm. We're not about the Bloods and the Crips. I'm about what do you stand for? What are your values? Tulsi is a veteran, right? She obviously loves this country. She's in for the best interest of this country. We can disagree with some policy, but overall, I don't think she ever wants to harm this country, nor would she do what you're seeing Biden's doing. In fact, she went to CPAC.
Yeah. And she was welcome there with open arms.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what's crazy about it, but they hate that. Right, they hate the bipartisanship that she could bring, and they're like, no, we have to keep these two parties separate. There's no way that we could unify and and have this skiff in the Democratic Party, even though that thing is freaking breaking apart by itself, man.
Yeah, I remember leading up to the presidential elections, and I haven't heard much about Tulsi Gabbard until I saw an interview with her, Jocko Willink, and Joe Rogan. And I was listening to her, and she's like, yeah, I'm funding my own campaign. I don't accept any big donors. And all the things she was saying, I'm like, wow, she's really awesome. How come she is not up there and Biden is instead?
Or when she took Kamala Harris.
She wrecked her, dude.
She brought receipts, man.
But then what did you see? You saw social media basically.
Loves that.
But you saw social media like basically freeze out her account.
Oh,
It was like
man.
boom, because they had to cool that thing off. Because guess what? The Democrats don't want Tulsi running. They had to cool that
well,
off.
it's because I think from the very beginning they knew that it was going to be Biden getting the nomination, and then Kamala was probably going to be.
Biden wasn't in the beginning.
No, he wasn't. But I think,
in fact, the media was going after him when he decided to run. They're like, he's old. He gaffed all the time. He did nothing but drag Obama down. The media attacked Biden like crazy. Go back and look. Go back and watch it. They attacked him like crazy, right? They were all about Kamala and Cory Booker. That's who they wanted.
Until Tulsi Gabbard brought receipts.
Can we get that a shirt, please? We have shirts.
Bring
Can
receipts.
we do bring receipts for shirt for like, I don't know what image we put with that. I just love it. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
They brought receipts, man.
I mean, it's freaking. I don't know. But what I do.
Did you notice how rich and old and white the Democratic nominees for presidency were?
Just
and then
exponentially.
you look at the Republican Party. They were running 26 people, and this is like this slew of minorities and women, and it's like, man,
all nationalists, white nationalists, in their hearts.
It's amazing actually when you go for character and you just try to have a diverse of perspective and thoughts and life experience. Your low tier diversity of skin color and gender just kind of follows when you try to get people who are smart, effective, and try to see things from a different mindset.
Yeah, I mean, none of that matters when it comes to politics, man. It's all about who's your donor, who you're gonna like grease the wheels for in Congress and or Senate, whatever. When you get in office, that's what it matters.
They did a psychological survey about people's happiness with their yearly salary. And this was about 10, 15 years ago. I think it was about 70 to 80K was the cap. Like it would go up linear with salary. Then about 70, 80K would like level out.
Yeah.
Roughly. Might be up now.
It's probably
due to
up,
inflation. But, I mean, how much money do you really need to be happy?
All of it.
All of it.
All of it.
These politicians.
Yeah, I need the gold and the silver too. And give me that fake one, the crypto. Give me everything.
Yeah. These politicians making millions of dollars a year. What are you doing with all that
How
money?
do you make millions of dollars a year when you only get paid $130,000 a year?
Right.
Or buy a $5 million mansion in Florida.
When the sea levels are rising.
And it's going to be underwater by 2030.
Wait, hasn't the world supposed to end like 20 times over
Well,
now?
according to
since
AOC, we
Inconvenient
only got
Truth?
like 11 years.
I mean, according to all these people, we should be living in Atlantis by now. So
Yeah,
Dude, I remember Rush Limbaugh had that countdown clock from what's his face?
Inconvenient Truth, Al Gore.
Yeah, and it was like when the world was supposed to end according to Al Gore, and then of course the day happened, and it was just like,
Nothing.
what's going on? Nothing? No. Because it's like
Al Gore's at his beachfront property, just like sipping Mai Tais.
all it is, it's transfer of wealth.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Oh, who is it that just bought a bunch of? Bill Gates. He just bought a bunch of seaside property, I think in California, and people are like, "What?"
Obama.
They put a quote. They're like, "The California will be on the coast. Los Angeles will be underwater by 2030." It's like, what?
Yeah, Obama has property in Martha's Vineyard.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they all do. They all have beachfront property.
Dude, that was the funniest thing, man, when they got caught all at Martha's Vineyard for his birthday party with no mask.
COVID
And
outbreak.
COVID outbreak, like a mofo, just like goes through that place.
It's like, oh, we found all the regulations. You know what really made me mad is that during COVID, all these lockdowns, they had the BLM movements and protests. And it's like, oh, we had a bunch of a COVID surge. And all these scientists were saying, no, the BLM protests did not cause a COVID surge. It was all these other things.
Yeah.
In fact, they actually helped COVID, according to the scientists. Did you guys read that?
Receipts.
We bring receipts, yes.
Yeah, it's bad. I think.
Yeah, but do you guys think Biden's going to be running? I mean, we kind of got off a little bit off topic there.
I mean, he really shouldn't, but
I don't think they. I mean, will he survive till then? Maybe.
Yeah, he's going to run
I
again.
am praying to God.
He said he's running.
Nothing happens to this man. I am praying to God he is in good health. I am praying because, oh my gosh, if Kamala Harris becomes president.
Let's all have a moment of silence, please.
Okay.
No, but I think I personally think Biden will run, but I think maybe he'll drop out, and
he talked about it.
Somebody else will come in and jump in.
Well, he talked about that. You remember
about
bowing out at some time? He's like, yeah, I might come up with some sickness or illness. And
oh yeah. You
remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
You probably can't find it on YouTube anymore, but there's actually him saying that.
Yeah. When was the last time incumbent did not rerun?
Coolidge.
Coolidge?
Is that it? I know they talked about it during the last presidential election.
Because you went from Coolidge to Hoover.
That was what, the 70s?
No, this is the 20s. You went from Coolidge to Hoover because this was going in the Great Depression. Because then you went from Hoover to Roosevelt.
Of course.
Did Reagan rerun?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He won every state but three in his
he cleared like the entire country except for like maybe one state.
Huh, okay.
This was back when a Republican was like red.
Yeah.
I mean, California was red. Yeah.
Yeah, because of Reagan.
Back when it was all just farmers and ranchers and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, there's some old movies. Like if you go back and you watch some of these old World War II movies and stuff like that, you had this one with Don Rickles in it, and they're like talking about, I forgot what movie it was, where they're going after this German gold, right? And he tells the main character, he's like, hey, why don't you go talk to him, make a deal with him? And he's like, what do you mean make a deal with him? He's like, hey, maybe he's a Republican.
Well, we can only hope that you get some better people in there, but even then, you can't really trust them anyways. So I don't know, man. The country's imploding. We're about to face incredible food shortages,
to say the least.
Gas sucks. Everybody's gas went down. It's like, bitch, have you seen the prices?
It's temporary.
Pardon my French, but
yeah.
What?
They're only going down because they're trying to do tax reliefs on it, right?
Yeah, I'm actually paying more for gas in West Virginia than out in people in Maryland. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, so a couple states they suspended the gas tax.
Yeah, Maryland was one of them.
Yeah. Anyways, but
going along with yours,
still not going to buy my gas in Maryland. I hate Maryland.
Yeah, Maryland can go screw it.
In my house,
get a spoon, Maryland.
We'll bring receipts.
My wife refuses to say Maryland. It's like the M-word state. That is all she'll say. She refuses to say the word.
No, I'll say it. I'll just say F you, Maryland. Great connotations.
Let's go, Maryland.
But anyways.
The world's going crazy. We're gonna keep trying to bring you guys information. We're gonna keep trying to bring you guys good stories. Make sure you like, you subscribe, share the show with people, tell them about us, let people know that we're here. And if you have any ideas for stuff that we'd like to talk about, leave it in the comments, and we'll be glad to not answer them and avoid them and talk about what we want to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. We just want to thank everybody for joining us today at the podcast, and like, subscribe, share this video with everybody, and we're just a couple bunch of normal dudes just talking about what we like and about things that we see in the world and kind of what's happening. We just want to share that with you guys. A lot of people don't always have time to look at the news and stuff, so that's why maybe they can just listen to us on their ride to work or or not, whatever.
We all got a little bit of Saint and Savage inside of us, so
absolutely
come enjoy our Saint and Savagery here.
Yeah. So anyways, we just want to thank everybody again, and we'll see you guys next time.